A pleasant day to all of you. Today I will be discussing the financial statement analysis. For the overview of this module, we know that the financial statements, they provide the basic information that are needed by the managers and other parties outside the organization. So through financial statement, may papakita kung ano ba yung financial condition and also the results of operation of a business organization. Also, financial statement communicates the firm's financial strengths, weaknesses, as well as its performance for the current period. So though financial statements are primarily prepared for external users, managers find it equally useful for making decision. Kasi nga, di ba, ang pinaka-purpose talaga ng financial statement nga is to communicate to external users. But it doesn't end there because the managers can also use the information provided by the financial statement for their decision-making activities. For example, yung performance evaluation, yung pagde-develop ng operating plans, and other matters regarding the operating activities. And also, even though financial statements are based in historical accounting information, kumbaga pag sinabi natin historical accounting information, it is based from past events. Kumbaga ito yung mga historical cost ang pinababasihan ang makikita natin sa financial statement. Pero ito ay nakakatulong din to predict the future because it can be indicated by the trend analysis wherein pinag-aaralan kung ano ba yung trend. Pag sinabi natin trend, ano ba yung most common na flow. For example, when it comes to expense, ano ba yung mga expenses na talagang malalaki ang amount? So, pag tiningnan mo yung trend nila na itong mga expense na ito, they comprise the biggest portion of the total expenses. Ngayon, pag nagkaroon ng prediction, okay, you will predict na this expense will be this much by next year. Kasi nga, basing on the past performance or past information, nakita natin na yung expense na yun is, for example, 60% of the total expenses. So, for the next year, medyo i-assume mo na itong expense na ito will be 60% or more. Okay, so that is a trend analysis. And also, the potential lender or investor could assess the company's overall financial strength, income, and growth potential, okay, in order to make future decisions. So what are the learning objectives for this module? The learning objective, of course, is first to understand the objectives of the financial statement analysis and its limitation. The second one is to use the analytical techniques in the financial statement analysis. They are the historical analysis, trend analysis, vertical analysis, and ratio analysis. And then the third one is to prepare and interpret common size financial statements. And the fourth one is to compute the various financial ratios, turnover, and their interpretation. Okay. So, overview of financial statements. Ano ba yung mga tinatawag natin na financial statements? The first one is the balance sheet. Pag sinabi nating balance sheet, ang pinapakita dito ay ang assets, liabilities, and when we say net financial position, it can be the equity. Okay? At a given point in time, when we say at a given point in time, there is a specific date, okay, for the balance sheet. Assets are often referred to as investments and liabilities and owner's equity as financing. The second one is income statement. Pag sinabi natin is income statement, it provides the company's operating results. So when we say operating results, ano ba yung mga elements na included sa income statement? They are the revenue and expenses. And the third one is the cash flow statement. So when we say cash flow, dito pinapakita lahat ng inflow and outflow ng cash. And also, it provides the firms, ito yung mga activities dyan, operating, investment, and financing. Okay? So, operating, investing, and financing activities ang makikita natin sa cash flow. When we say operating, ano bang included sa operating? Ano ba ang pinapakita natin sa operating? Ang pinapakita dyan ay revenue, okay, revenue and expense. Ito yung mga cash inflow and outflow na involved sa operating. When we say investment, this is assets. Okay, so assets yan. At pag financing, anong pinapakita yan? Liabilities. Okay? So, L, liability. And L and letter E. L for liability and E for equity. Okay? Yan. The next one is the statement of retained earnings. So, when we say statement of retained earnings, pinapakita dito kung magkano yung naging net income. So, hindi lang kita dito ha. This is the net income. Kung meron bang mga cash dividends na binayaran. Okay? Within the year. Tapos, papakita rin kung magkano yung amount ng retained earnings at the start and at the end of the year. Pag sinabi nating retained earnings, ito ginagamit ito sa corporate type of business. So, ito naman tayo naman kasi ngayon, nasa na tayo eh. Doon na tayo sa corporate type of business. Okay? So, retained earnings, papakita dyan yung net income, dividends paid, okay? At kung magkano yung balances at the beginning at the end of the accounting period. So, this is the basic structure of each of these statements and their relationship. The first one is the balance sheet, wherein you can see the assets, liabilities, and capital. And then, the other one is the income statement, wherein you will see here the revenues and expenses. So, pag mas malaki ang revenue sa expense, we have income. Pagkabaliktara naman, mas malaki ang expense kesa sa revenue, we have loss. And then, for the cash flow, we can see here the cash flows beginning balance, cash beginning balance. I-add ang cash inflow, ililess ang cash outflow, and then you will get the cash balance ending. Okay? So, cash balance, less cash. Ito pinapakita dito, yung cash balance daw end na ito i-minus mo yung cash balance beginning, ang kalalabasan niyan ay yung change in cash for the current year. So in this chapter, analysis will be focused on these two statements. Ano ba yung mga yon? They are the balance sheet and the income statements. So they will be, we will use the most widely used techniques in the financial statement analysis, which are the comparative analysis and the ratio or component analysis, including turnovers. Pag sinabi natin comparative analysis, tatlo yan. We have the horizontal, the trend, and then the vertical. Quotients about financial statement analysis. So, this is not an absolute, hindi to absolute basis para sa decision. Sabi nga dito, managers should look beyond the ratio. Kasi diba, there are also qualitative factors that should be considered in every decision that is being made by managers. Kumbaga, itong mga ratio na ito, they are just tools para makatulong sa paggawa ng decision. So what are the cautions about using financial ratio? Una, ratios that reveal large deviation from the norm merely indicate the possibility of a problem. Ibig sabihin, a possibility of a problem pa lang. Hindi naman talaga may problem na. And then, a single ratio does not generally provide enough information from which to judge the overall performance of the firm. Tama. So, hindi mo pwedeng ibase sa isang simpleng ratio lang yung performance ng buong firm. And also, ratios being compared should be calculated using financial statements dated at the same point in time during the year. And also, it is preferable to use audited. Ayan, audited financial statements kasi kapag audited financial statements, most probably, it is free from material errors and misstatements. Kasi kung may material errors or misstatement, yung financial statement na gagamitin mo, maaring mali din yung ratio na makompute mo. So, therefore, magkamali ka din ng decision. And the number 5, the financial data being compared should have been processed the same way. And then results can be distorted by inflation. So alam niyo naman, pag sinabi nating inflation, tumataas 'di ba yung tumataas yung mga bilihin pagka may inflation. Bumababa yung value ng pera natin. Bakit? Ano ba ang mga nakakaapekto dyan? Katulad na lang ng nangyari sa atin, yung mga sunod-sunod natin ng mga bagyo, nakakaapekto yan sa inflation. And also, itong pandemic, nakakaapekto sa inflation ito. Maraming mga factors, pwedeng mga political factors, okay, pwedeng mga sakuna, ayan, makakaapekto sa inflation yan. Comparative analysis. So, dito na tayo. Pag sinabi natin comparative analysis, you are comparing two financial statements or pwede namang one financial statement pero magkaiba yung kanilang period. Kaya you are comparing. Pag sinabi natin comparative, you are comparing two different things. Diba? So, an item on a financial statement has little meaning by itself. So, pag nga naman babasahin mo ang isang financial statement, pag nakita mo yun, lalo na kung hindi, pag titingnan mo lang siya by its face, parang walang masyadong meaning. Ano ba ang sense ng financial statement? Pero, you can draw the meaning of the numbers by using comparisons. Kunwari, yung mga percentage changes, mga ratio na yun na ginagamit natin, mga trend analysis. Okay, nagkakaroon na siya ng enhancement. So, ano ba yung mga analysis na yun? We have the horizontal analysis. When we say horizontal analysis, it is comparing what? Two periods. And becomes trend analysis if extended to 3 or more periods. So, take note horizontal analysis, kino-compare mo daw ang 2 periods, pero pag nag-extend ka na to 3 or more periods, ang tawag na nun ay trend analysis. Vertical analysis naman is known as the common size statement, wherein you are comparing the component parts of a single statement at a given period. For example, ilang percent ba ang cost of sales ng sales? Yan. So, isang financial statement lang, pero ang pinagko-compare mo ay yung mga components ng financial statement na yun. And then, the analyst must have in mind that these percentage changes and ratios are only indicators of the performance or financial condition of the company. So, no single measure could tell us more. So, ibig sabihin, these are just indicators of performance. It doesn't mean that this is the actual or real performance. pwede lang itong makatulong. Okay? In analyzing, this can be used as tools para i-assess ang performance or condition ng isang business entity. Horizontal analysis, it is a technique for evaluating a series of data over a period time to determine the increase and decrease that take place. So, ito nga, di ba, pag sinabi natin horizontal analysis, we are comparing one period to another. So, the following simple rules should be observed. Ito daw yung kailangan nating i-observe. So, to compute the peso changes, current year, current year less prior year. To compute the percentage daw, peso change, yung na-compute mong pagbabago, i-divide by the prior year. Kasi yung prior year ang nagiging base figure mo dyan. To compute for ratio presentation, current year is divided. Okay. So again, if the base year is 0 and no amount from prior year should be shown in the analysis. Okay, mamaya mas iyan na natin kasi natatakpan ng video ko. Hindi ko pa alam kung paano ko i-move yung aking video. Okay. Ayan. So, yan. Kita na natin. So, current year divided by, yan, prior year. Yan. So, that's it. Okay, so this is an example of a comparative balance sheet using horizontal analysis. As you can see, there is year 1 and year 2. Okay? So to get the peso amount, to get the 300, ito, yan. Okay? Ang mangyayari dyan, this one, 2,400 minus 2,100, kaya nakuha yung 300. Okay? Ngayon, paano naman nakuha ito? 300 divided by 2,100 equals 14.3%. Ganun siya nakuha. Okay? Tapos, yung, kakalculate ko lang ha. Okay. So, yun na. To get this naman, the ratio, you have to divide 2,400 by 2,100. Isn't that? Okay, ulitin ko ha. 1,350 minus 900 equals 450. Okay? Tapos, 450 divided by 900 equals 50%. Okay? And then 1,350 divided by 900 equals what? 1.50. So, ganun ang computation nun. Okay? So, ganun lang palagi. Ngayon, pag kunwari, dito, nakita nyo to, negative siya, di ba? Negative 150. Kaya, negative din yung percentage dito. Okay? Ayan, o. Another one, o. Negative, kaya negative din. So, alisin ko lang yung video. Ayan. So, paano pag wala? Walang change. Katulad nito, o. 18,000 din dito. So, 0. So, 0% din. Ngayon, pag pinag-divide mo sila, 1 sila. Okay? Ganun lang siya. So, to get the total you will get the total asset. So, to compute that, at ito pinag-a-add. Yung current asset, i-add mo, plus yung current property and equipment, kaya nakuha ito. Ganon din yung gagawin mo. Ito, i-add, at ito, i-add. Okay? Ito, Anong gagawin mo dyan? I-add mo pa ba? Hindi na. Hindi na yan. So, ano nang mangyayari dyan? Pagmaminusin mo na to. So, hindi kasi kita eh. Nakita mo ito? 360,000 minus 332,550. Kaya nakuha ito. Okay? Tapos ito divided by this one to get the 8.3%. Tapos 360 divided by 332,500 to get the 1.08. Okay? So, ganun lang yung computation nun. Tingnan natin yung kasunod. Okay. Yung ginawa dito, ganun din. Hanggang dyan sa baba. Yan. So, total mo naman dito. Diba dito, yan ang ginawa. Sa total, ganun din ang gagawin. Pag total na, ito total nyo muna. Itong dalawa, total. Tapos, saka nyo pag minusin. 40,000 minus 36,150 to get this one. Okay? Tapos, ito na. 3,850 divided by 36,150, 10.7%. Tapos, 40,000 divided by 36,150, 1.11. So, ganun lang. Tuloy-tuloy lang. Pare-pareho lang yung proseso. Okay. Pagdating dito, ganun din. The same din. Kanina kasi balance sheet. Ito naman, comparative income and retained earnings statement. So, anong gagawin mo? You have to deduct from 261,000 the 246,000. So, that is 15,000. 15,000 divided by 246,000, you will get 6.1%. And then 261,000 divided by 246,000, you will get 1.06. Okay? Hindi ko na isa-isahin yan ha, kasi pare-pareho lang yung process. Okay, ito iba na to. Ito na yung vertical analysis. Paano naman pag vertical analysis? Nakita nyo dito, ang 100% dito ay itong net sales. Ayan o, 100% siya. So, ibig sabihin, yan ang base natin. Pag sinabi nating base, dyan natin i-divide lahat ng component. Okay. So, paano yan? Katulad nito. 182,790 divided by 261,000. I-check ko lang. 182,790 divided by 261,000 is, tama, 70%. Yan. Paano nakuha to? 169,000 divided by 246,000 is 68.7%. The rest, yun na yung gagawin nyo. Lahat sila i-divide nyo dyan. I-divide nyo dyan. Kung ano yung 100%, gaya nga ng sabi ko, okay, ito ang 100% natin. Sorry. Ito yung 100% natin. Kaya lahat sila, i-divide nyo dito. Diyan. Yan nyo siya i-divide. To get itong mga percentage na to. Kaya nga siya tinawag na vertical analysis. Kasi, hindi mo pinag-compare yung year 1 at year 2. Ang ginagawa mo lang, ilang percent ba ng sales ang cost of sales? Ilang percent ba ng sales ang gross profit? So, yun lang yung mga ginagawa dyan. Okay. Paano naman kapag trend analysis? Trend analysis naman tayo. So, dito, meron tayong tinatawag na trend percentages. Pagka several years na ng financial data ang pinag-uusapan natin. For example, this one. Yung kanilang sales and net income for the past 6 years. Sales and net income. So, nakalista dyan, di ba? Nakalista dyan. Ngayon, alin ang 100% natin? Ang 100% natin, yung pinaka-late Sabihin niya yung pinaka-nauna. Saan nyo yan, 100%, 100%. Kaya anong gagawin? 219,000 divided by 216,000, kaya nakuha yung 101%. Dito, 30,600 divided by 29,700, kaya nakuha yung 103. Ayun pala, meron naman tayo dito, sa baba, ayan, paano siya nakuha. So, pwede nyo yung maging guide. So, that is the trend analysis. Okay? Kasunod, ano ba ang trend analysis? It serves as what we call attention directing. Kasi nga, di ba, kapag ka nawala sa trend, so there is something wrong, or pwede namang, yung bang kailangan bigyan mo ng attention to find out what happened. Kunwari, kung masyadong mataas yung increase or masyadong mababa, o kaya masyadong lumiit naman masyado. Kasi you can see the percentage ng itinaas o ibinaba. Okay, kaya ang tawag sa kanya, attention directing. Kasi nagfo-focus ng attention dun sa mga trends in comparison with the industry standards din. So, kunwari, yung trend mo, ang konti lang. Kunwari, sa industry standard, ang itinaas ng revenue, for example, is 10%. Pero ikaw, nangyari sa'yo, 6% lang. So, ano pwede mong analysis mo dyan? Sabihin, ang konti lang, di ba? Kumpara dun sa talagang normal na increase within the industry. So, ganun siya ginagawa. Vertical analysis. Ano naman ang vertical analysis? It is a technique that expresses each item within the financial statements as percentage of relevant total or base amount. Yun na nga yung kinumpute natin kanina, di ba? Wherein we find the 100% kasi kung ano yung 100%, dun mo i-divide lahat ng components within the financial statement. Okay? Ayan. Next, ratio analysis naman. So, many related items in the balance sheet help the analyst develop his interpretation. Okay? So, pero, ang kagandahan, ang mga ratio daw, they are designed to show, relationships between financial statements. For instance, si Company X daw might have a debt of 5 million and an interest charges of 400,000. Si Company Y naman, ang kanyang utang ay 50 million at ang kanyang interest charges ay 4 million. Laki ng interest niya. Ngayon ang tanong, which company daw is stronger? Sino ba ang mas malakas sa kanila? So, the burden of these debts and a company's ability to repay them can be uncertain, di ba? Kasi ang given lang naman, magkano utang, magkano interest. So, hindi natin alam, hindi natin pwedeng i-analyze kung magkano ba yung ability ng bawat isa para magbayad. Ngayon, by comparing each firm's debt to its assets, and by comparing the interest it must pay to the income it has available. So, yung comparison na yun yung tinatawag natin na ratio analysis. Kasi diba, pag may utang ka, dapat you have enough assets para makabayad ka dun sa utang. Pag may interest ka naman, dapat you have enough income para ma-shoulder yung interest expense. Ang tawag doon, ratio analysis. Aalamin mo ilang percent ba yung utang mo sa asset mo. Okay? Ilang percent ba yung interest dun sa income mo. Ngayon, there are three major areas that concern the users of financial statements. Una, ano ba yung mga areas ng concern nila? Una, syempre, stability. Pag sinabi nating stability, di ba, the company can continue its operation for a long period of time and it can meet its current financial obligations, solvency or liquidity, being able to meet long-term obligation. And when we say profitability, yun nga, the operation of the business organization is at a profit, hindi at a loss. So, analyzing ratio as a whole could be more meaningful even though they are computed individually. The totality of it could give a final interpretation about the company's financial and operating condition. So, the following are the most common ratios that are used by the financial analysts. Ano ba yon? The first one is the liquidity ratio. Ano ba yung liquidity ratio? Pinapakita dyan yung relationship ng ng cash, company's cash to current assets and other assets to current liabilities. So kino-compare mo daw yung cash mo at yung iba pang mga current assets mo sa total current liability mo. Pag sinabi natin current assets, ang mga example niyan ay They are cash, receivables, inventory, prepaid, expenses, and also the supplies. Pag sinabi natin current liabilities, these are liabilities that are due within the current year or within 1 year. So, ano bang ini-indicate ng liquidity? It indicates whether the firm can meet its maturing obligation. Okay? Yan. O, dito tayo. Una, working capital. Ito nga pala, itong sa mga ratio na ito, tsaka sa financial statement analysis, mostly dito ay may mga formula naman kayo na susundin. Okay? Kaya hindi naman na siya ganun kahirap. Dapat alam niyo lang kung paano ninyo gagawin yung formula. Una, pag sinabi nating working capital, that is current assets minus current liabilities. Ganun lang siya kasimple. Kasunod, current asset ratio. So, current asset ratio, that is current assets divided by current liability. Anong pinapakita doon? Adequacy of working capital or ability to meet current obligation. Pinapakita dyan parang ganito. Sa bawat pisong utang mo, magkano ang cash na pangbayad mo? Or magkano yung current asset na kukunan mo ng pangbayad? Ngayon, paano pag ang nangyari, mas malaki yung liability kaysa sa current asset? Hindi maganda yon. Kasi ibig sabihin, sa pisong utang mo, kunwari, 1 pisong liability, 50 cents lang yung asset mo. Naku, mahirap yan. Kasi paano ka makakabayad kung ang current asset mo ay 50 cents lang sa bawat piso na utang mo? Gets nyo ba? Dun siya ginagamit. Another one, quick acid test ratio. Pag sinabi natin quick acid test ratio, that is quick asset divided by current liabilities. Ngayon, ano pa ang pinagkaiba ng current asset sa quick asset? Ito yan. Ang quick assets daw, they are cash and cash equivalents, marketable security, short-term notes, and accounts receivable. Ano hindi natin isinama? Ito. Hindi natin isasama ang inventory at saka prepaid expenses. Ayun not included in the computation. Kasi nga, alam nyo, pagka inventory, bago pa yan maging cash, ano muna ang kailangan mong gawin? Kailangan ibenta mo pa. Ngayon, pag nabenta mo, hindi naman sigurado na, nababayaran ka ng cash. May mga portion pa rin dyan na hindi ka babayaran. So, pupunta pa siya sa accounts receivable. Tapos, bago pa siya maging cash, kailangan yung accounts receivable mo, makolekta mo. So, hindi siya quick asset. Pag sinabi kasi natin quick asset, dapat it can be easily convertible into cash. Ngayon, ang prepaid expense, hindi rin natin isinali. Bakit? Because prepaid expense are not converted to cash. These are expenses that are paid in advance. So, ibig sabihin, Para lang mawala ang prepaid expense, hindi mo siya pwedeng ipalit ng cash. Ano ang dapat mong ma-receive? Yung service na binayaran mo in advance. Kaya siya tinawag na prepaid expense kasi nagbayad ka na pero hindi mo pa nagagamit. Okay? So, yun yung sa quick asset test ratio. The next one is the asset management ratio. So, dito naman ang tinitingnan kung paano daw, gaano ka-effective yung firm sa pagmamanage ng kanilang asset. So, normally, companies borrow or obtain capital from other sources to acquire assets, di ba? If a company has too many assets acquired through borrowings, ang mangyayari, yung interest expense mo masyadong malaki. Ngayon, pag malaki ang interest expense mo, anong mangyayari sa profit mo? It will be lower kasi mataas yung expense mo eh. Bababa yung profit mo. Therefore, anong makikita? Makikita na mababa masyado ang asset tapos profitability ng sales ay paaring mawala. Okay, so ano ba yung mga asset management na yan? Una dyan, yung accounts receivable turnover. Ang accounts receivable turnover, paano yun nakukompute? Yung net sales daw on account, take note ha, on account lang isasama natin dito. Kasi nga, accounts receivable yan. So, ibig sabihin, yan yung mga pautang natin. So, hindi na dapat kasama dyan yung sales na may na-receive kang cash. So, divided by the average accounts receivable. Pag sinabi nating average accounts receivable, that is the beginning AR plus ending AR divided by 2. Yan yung formula niyan. Ngayon, ano ang mini-measure natin dito? Ang mini-measure natin, how fast is the collection? Gaano kakabilis makakolekta ng pautang? Sabi diyan, the higher the turnover, the better. Kasi ibig sabihin, mas greater number of receivables ang nare-reinvest for more profit. Anong sabi? The higher the turnover, the better. Ibig sabihin kasi mabilis ang pag-convert mo ng accounts receivable into cash. Next, number of days in AR or average collection period. So, ang gagawin mo lang, 365,000 days, i-divide mo lang yung accounts receivable turnover na na-compute mo dito sa unahan. I-divide mo lang siya sa 365 days. Ano ang makikita mo dyan? Ang makikita mo dyan sa loob ng isang taon, ilang araw bago mo makolekta yung pautang mo. Gets nyo ba? For example, kung 365, ang turnover mo ng utang ay 10. So, 365 divided by 10. Ibig sabihin, 36.5 days or pwedeng sabihin natin 37 days bago mo makolekta yung mga pautang mo. Is it good or is it bad? Sa unang tingin, it is bad kasi isang buwan bago ka makakolekta ng pautang. Which is not good kasi yung pera, hindi mo agad mako-convert into profit. Kumbaga, naipon yung pera mo dun sa mga customer mo. Okay? The next one, inventory turnover. Ito naman, cost of sales divided by average inventory. Average inventory, kagaya din ng accounts receivable natin, beginning plus end divided by 2. Ang tinitingnan naman dito, how fast inventory were converted into sales. Gaano kabilis ka naman magbenta ng produkto. Okay? The higher the inventory turnover, the better. Kasi ibig sabihin, marami yung nabibenta mo. At pag marami ka nabenta, more profit ang na-realize. Number of days in inventory are average selling period. Ganun din, 365 days divided by the inventory turnover. Kasi titingnan mo dyan, ilang araw bago mo naman mabenta ang inventory. Okay. Sabi dyan, the shorter the number of days, the better. Okay? Pag konti lang yung number of days, mas okay. Kasi ibig sabihin, konting araw lang, nabenta mo na kaagad yung iyong inventory. Maganda yun. Okay? Number 5, fixed assets turnover or fixed assets utilization ratio. Ano yan? That is sales divided by net fixed asset. Total asset turnover naman, that is sales divided by total assets. Ano ang mini-measure niyan? The number of times investments in asset are invested in sales. Anong sabi? The higher the more the number of times, the higher the profit. Okay? We will now proceed to the debt management ratio or financial leverage. So, alam naman natin, di ba, pag mga company, kadalasan may mga utang yan. Bakit ba nangungutang? Para magkaroon ng additional capital. Kasi minsan, may pagkakataon na hindi kayang i-shoulder ng mga owners yung additional fund na kailangan ng company. Okay? So, minsan naman, this is part of their strategy wherein the risk is being handed over to the creditors. Okay. So, dito sa ratio na to pinapakita kung paano ginagamit ng firm yung tinatawag natin na debt financing or financial leverage. Okay? So, anong ibig sabihin yan? Sabi dyan kasi, by raising funds through debt, the owners can maintain what? The control of the firm with limited investment. Kasi kapag ang nangyari, kunwari sa corporation, ang ginawa mo, nagbenta ka ng shares para tumaas yung capital, yung fund. Ang mangyayari, dadami kayong owners, di ba? Kasi may mga bibili ng mga shares. Okay? So, ano mangyayari? Yung mga original owners, maaaring lumiit yung percentage of ownership nila sa corporation at sa pagliit ng percentage of ownership, pagliit din ang control nila sa firm. Another one, creditors look to the equity or the owner-supplied funds. Pag sinabi kasi nating equity, ito yung mga funds na provide ng mga owners. Okay? So, if the owners have provided only a small proportion of the total financing, yung risk of enterprise are borne mainly by its what? Creditors. Kumbaga, pinasa nila yung risk ng yung mga owners, pinasa nila yung risk sa creditors nila. So, what are the financial leverage? Una, ang interest daw kasi deductible. So, therefore, bababa ang tax. Okay? And leaves more firms operating income available to its investors. Yan yung isang financial leverage yan. Pag nangutang ka. Kasi deductible yon sa tax base mo. Ibig sabihin, yung income na pagbabasihan para makompute kung magkano yung tax na babayaran mo. So, the higher the interest, the lower the tax ang mangyayari. Another one, if the rate of return on assets exceed the interest rate on debt, ibig sabihin, the company can use the debt to finance asset, to pay interest on the debt, and have something left over for its stockholders. O, yun naman yung isang financial leverage niyan. Okay? Kasunod. Normally, kapag daw mataas ang debt ratio, mataas din ang risk of losses. So, napakinggan nyo na ba yung sabi na the higher the risk, the higher the return? Sabihin, kung gusto mong kumita ng malaki daw, dapat mataas din yung risk na willing mong i-take. Okay? Yun nga lang dito, i-compare naman natin siya, i-link naman natin siya sa debt, sa utang. So, kapag marami kang utang, expose ka sa mas maraming risk and losses. Pag nagkaroon ng recession ng kumpanya, not the company, but the economy, when there is an economic recession. But, you may also have higher expected returns when the economy booms. Bakit? Kasi nga, di ba, umutang ka, nadagdagan ka ng fund. So, therefore, pag matlami kang fund, marami kang gagamitin pang kapital. So, therefore, marami kang pwedeng i-produce na products, di ba? Marami kang pwedeng gamitin for advertisement. So, pag nag-boom yung economy, madami din yung mataas yung ina-expect mo na return kasi marami ka rin binitawan na funds. At yung funds naman na yun nanggaling sa utang, kaya mataas din ang risk. Okay? Kabaliktaran naman, kapag daw mababa, low, ang debt ratio, ibig sabihin, mababa lang ang utang ng isang company, less risky. Oo nga naman, less risky. Kasi safe ka lang eh, wala kang masyadong utang. Yun nga lang, you forgo the opportunity to leverage up their return on equity. Dahil nga, konti lang ang utang, konti lang din yung fund. And because konti yung fund, konti lang din yung pwede nilang gamitin for their financial leverage. Okay? So that's why this chapter will simply look at the procedures on how to examine the firm's debt ratio and then review income statement ratio to determine the number of times fixed charges covered by operating profits. So there are two ratios that are complementary but must be analyzed at the same time. The first one is debt to total asset ratio. So from the name itself, i-divide mo lang yung debt, yung utang, total utang, liability, sa total asset. Yun lang. Pag naman debt to equity ratio, yung total liability, i-divide mo lang sa total shareholders equity. Yun lang yung formula niya. Times interest earned ratio, yung EBIT, when we say EBIT, earnings before interest and taxes. Ibig sabihin, ito yung kinita mo bago pa ibawas yung interest at bago pa ibawas ang tax. So, EBIT divided by the interest charges. So, yan lang yung formula niya. Next, fixed charge coverage. EBIT naman plus fixed charges divided by interest charges plus fixed charges. Okay. So, pwede daw magkaroon ng mga fixed charges. So, ano ba yung mga yun? Fixed charges are defined as ito. Interest plus annual fixed charges. So, yun siya. Next, cash flow coverage ratio. So that is EBIT plus fixed charges plus depreciation divided by interest charges plus fixed charges plus preferred stock divided by 1 times tax rate plus debt repayment divided by 1 times tax rate. Tingnan natin ha, ang haba ng formula. Paano natin i-apply? Natin ito. For instance, to pay 10,000 peso of preferred dividends, ang tax rate daw ay 40%. We need 16,667. Computed as follows. Ito, 10,000 divided by 1 minus 0.40. Ito yun, preferred stock dividends divided by 1 minus tax rate. Ito siya. Divided by 1 minus tax rate. Okay? Tapos yung EBIT less of 6,000 yan will give us tama. So, yun yung ibig sabihin. Okay, book value of securities. So that is the value of each security divided by the number of shares outstanding. Capitalization ratio, the proportion of face value of a particular type of security to company's total equity. Pag sinabi nating total equity, kasama dyan yung creditor. Pag creditor, that is liability. Pag owner's equity, that is the capital. Okay? So, analyzing the income statement, ito naman yung pang-apat, profitability ratio. Dito naman, pinapakita kung gaano ba ka-profitable yung operation ng business. So, ito yung mga ratio niya. The first one is the profit margin, which is the net income available to common stock divided by sales. Return on sales, net income divided by net sales. Yan yung formula niya. Return on assets, tandaan nyo ha, pag puro mga return, yung ano niya, net income. Okay? O, return on total sales, edi yung net income divided by the total asset. Okay? Return on common equity, o return na naman, edi net income again, available to common stock divided by average common stock equity. Basic earnings power, or that is the EBIT, ano, EBIT, earnings before interest and taxes divided by the total, by the average total asset. Earnings per share or basic EPS, that is net income, divided by the weighted average number of shares outstanding. Dividend per share, okay, that is dividends paid to common stock divided by common shares outstanding. Dividend payout ratio, dividends per share of common stock divided by earnings per share. Yan. Analyzing retained earnings or the market value ratio. Paano naman yan? Yan naman, ginagamit siya to what? To give the management an indication of what investors, what investors thinks of the company's past performance and prospects. So, ang tinitingnan natin dito ay yung price-earnings ratio, which is the market price per share of the common stock divided by EPS. Pag sinabi natin EPS, that is the earnings per share. Yung earnings per share, nakuha natin yan dun sa nauna, sa profitability measure. Okay, market book ratio divided by market price per book. Okay. Value per share. Ano naman ang pinapakita niyan? It gives how investor regard the company. Pag daw mataas ang rates of return on equity, generally sell at higher multiples of book value. Mas mataas yung bentahan ng shares kapag mataas din yung rates of return. Dividend yield ratio, dito naman pinapakita yung rate ng return ng actual dividend distribution sa shareholders. Kasi minsan, alam mo yung mga pangyayari na kumikita nga yung company pero wala namang nare-return the dividend sa shareholders. So, kapag ka ganun, hindi rin masyadong okay. So, dapat kung kumikita, nare-return din sa mga shareholders yung kinita nila. So, this is the illustrative problem. Okay? So, how to compute the working capital, the current asset ratio, the quick asset ratio. Yan, accounts receivable turnover, number of days in AR, inventory turnover, number of days in inventory. Tapos yung mga debt ratio, ayan o, total liability. So, meron na kayong mga ano dito ha, mga sample. Ayan, book value per share. Okay? May mga sample na kung paano ninyo makukompute ito. Hindi ko na ito iisa-isa kasi diniscuss naman na natin yung mga formulas doon sa nauna. Next is the notes to financial statements. Pag sinabi nating notes to financial statements, ito yung mga explanation, ito yung mga accounting policy na ginamit in preparing the financial statement, and also the schedules kung paano ba na-compute ang certain line item within the financial statement. Okay? Limitation of financial statement analysis. Ano daw yan? So, financial ratio only serve as what? Attention directing device. Kumbaga, it will not give you the absolute information regarding the problem. It will just get your attention for you to investigate or to observe so that you will know if there is a problem or not. Actually, hindi mo pa naman masisigurado nga kung may problema ba o wala. But then, the advantage of that is that, but at least, meron kang indicator. Diba? Kesa you are going on forever dun sa business mo na bulag ka. Ibig sabihin, wala ka man lang indication na may problema na pala. Yun nga lang, ang limitation niya, attention directing device lang. Tool lang siya. Okay? Another one, financial statements are historical cost. Kaya daw, yung inflation, pwede daw yan maging maka-apekto ng malaki. It can badly distort the balance sheets. Okay? Thus, ratio analysis for one firm, kumbaga, ito pa, yung ratio analysis, hindi, from one firm for several periods to a different company of different ages, must be interpreted with extra care and judgment. Kasi nga naman, one firm to another, magkaiba yan eh. Magkaiba talaga yung kanilang performance. So, hindi dapat mag-base lang doon sa isa na yun, sa ratio na yun. Ano pa? Ito, variations daw in accounting methods among the firm. So, minsan magkakaiba ng accounting methods na ginagamit eh. Kaya hindi mo rin talaga pwedeng sabihin na absolute yung maging reliability mo dun sa result ng ratio analysis. Another is the timing. Okay? So, an action is taken at one point in time, but its full effects cannot be accurately measured. Tama yan. Hindi mo naman malalaman kung magkano talaga yung magiging effect ng isang transaction. Kasi minsan, saka mo pa yan malalaman kapag mangyayari pa lang kasi kunwari in the future. So, hindi mo pa rin siya pwedeng pagbasihan absolutely. Okay? Another one, yung current asset ratio daw may seem not good, pero profit naman daw seems better. It is also difficult to generalize whether the particular ratio is good or bad. Tama. Kasi minsan, generally, ang tawag dito, interpretation ay bad, pero yun pala pag tinignan mo yung whole picture, hindi naman pala ganun kasama. Okay. So that's the end of the lecture for financial statement analysis. And if you have further questions, you may ask it during our online classes or online discussion on this module. So that's all. I hope you learned something from this lecture, and I will give you further assignments on the computation for financial statement analysis.